That's right. I'm going to rant today. That is
Taylor.
I'm Joe, as you know. As promised, I'm going to rant against apology tours. Now, we talked about Kevin Smith and his apology tour. Here's the problem with it. When you are not wrong, you do not give in to apology tours. In the example of Kevin Smith citing a reference to something Ben Affleck said on set to a movie 20 years ago, like spoilers, right? There has to be a time limit on spoiler alerts. Yeah. There is a time limit on apology tours. If somebody in the past said something like, I hate this race or this sexual orientation, and today I still hate it, that is a problem. Agreed universally. Taylor?
Yes, agreed.
Okay. Here's the situation. I hate this person in the past. This happens in the past. I hate this person, race, group, or gender. Now they say, I was wrong for my beliefs in the past. I was wrong for what I have said. I have changed my mind. Everything is different now, and I wish I could take back those things, but since I cannot, I will do everything I can to make amends for what I have done. Also okay, right, Taylor?
Yes.
So
you admit your guilt. You admit you're wrong.
Ben Affleck, in this case, would qualify under our second example to where he is very liberal, very supportive of minority and gender rights. And he even called out one of the biggest liberals ever on his show, Bill Maher. He told him he was a racist for his anti-Islamic views, to be determined whether they were or not for you in the comments or everywhere else on this show. That's not what this rant's about. But the fact is, Ben Affleck said nothing wrong. Everything should not be done with a qualifier. Meaning, Ben Affleck shouldn't say to Kevin Smith in 1996, 20 years ago, by the way, I think the hardest thing to do, this is what he said. He said, I think the hardest thing to do is a male-on-male kiss. Here's what he should not have said. I believe that as of right now, in history's current context, doing the thing of a male-on-male kiss currently feels wrong, though I am wrong for having these feelings in my mind, and at a later point they should be corrected and qualified. Therefore, our views currently in society will later be reflected to be corrected upon our values, and at what I am saying or feeling right now is wrong. Therefore, in the future, in the future context, I will be corrected or leave myself open to correction. I apologize in advance for what can be construed at a later point. Here's why that doesn't work. Because we don't, at the time, these names for gender equality and the way we feel now about them, they didn't exist, okay? So, for example, if a Jefferson statue you want to take down because he was a slave owner, and in the community there is a large number of African Americans offended that he was a slave owner, I say, I'm not even going to take the stance of a conservative because I don't believe in the conservative issues. If it offends you and your community has the statue and you pay for the statue, pay for the maintenance of the statue, and your community no longer wants to have the statue, by all means, right? Take down the statue. Don't care. If it's a museum saying this is Thomas Jefferson and this is his statue, he owned slave, we must remember this, wrong. Don't take it down. It is a museum about historical context. When you go to a museum of historical context or historical learning, then those things should be acknowledged. But if it is a public park, a public square, a public town center, and you want to take down a statue, by all means, take it down. Go ahead. Not a big deal. Just like in this context of apology tours, he did not know at the time, in the future, 20 years later, that we would have these cis-normative, cisgender issues that we're having right now. Therefore, he does not owe anybody, no matter what you think he owes to you. You are wrong. You are 100% wrong. And you are stupid for arguing in context 20 years ago. Somebody said it was hard for him, or the hardest thing to do for men at the time to do was a male-male kiss, because at that time, it was hard for men to do. This was prior to Brokeback Mountain. Was it even prior to Philadelphia? It's probably prior to Philadelphia.
Probably the same time.
Well, yeah, so this is prior to all these things coming out. This is prior to Ellen coming out on her show, right?
Yeah.
This is prior to all these things happening. So you cannot look back at historical context and go, oh, look at how great I am for not using any of these terms. You probably actually did use those terms, you liar, you hypocrite, you bullshit artist. You probably did use these terms, except Kevin Smith didn't hear you say it with his extraordinary memory that he had. I'm sure like the memories like Joe Rogan and Kevin Smith have. I'm sure if you were around, they remembered you. They said, you said something like that too. But no, we don't have the benefit of openly criticizing you because no one brought that out. But I'm sure if in context, someone had monitored the conversation you were having, by today's standards would be considered inappropriate. So don't lie, don't grandstand, don't show everyone how superior you are fundamentally because of all the stuff that you know now, lording it over somebody who in the past said something. Ben Affleck has done more than you've done for equal rights, more than you've done for protesting, more than you've done for donations, more than you've done democratically and voted for Democrats than you've done. He's actually voted. You haven't. That are complaining. And he's done more by making people aware on Twitter and everything else about these social causes. So you don't kill the guy. You don't eat him alive for having a view that was kind of sort of maybe wrong 20 years ago. And sure as hell, you don't criticize the guy, Kevin Smith, who brought up the other guy saying it. What is wrong with you? There is no apology for Kevin Smith. There is no apology for Don't do it. You shouldn't have done it. You don't need to backtrack on anything. You are not wrong. And allowing these people to get to you and say that you're wrong is giving them more fuel to the fire. It's giving more idiots a right to criticize something. Like in the future, this is going to come up. It's going to come up. It's going to come up very soon. It's going to come up where computers are going to start having rights. And people are already starting to say that Cortana doesn't fight back when you sexually harass Cortana. Have you heard about that? There was an article that came out.
No.
So you can say, what's up, sexy babe, to Cortana. She doesn't say, hey, you're not allowed to say that I am an independent female robotic. It's going to come up where in the context, you using robotic stimulation, you watching people on the internet and stuff like that or whatever, is ogling, demeaning, and even using robotic devices that have human form are going to be wrong for you to do, especially if, like, now there's a big one of whether or not they should use android robots that resemble real humans, because android robots can't consent. We're talking about sexual orientation, right? And I bring it up sexual because this is like the next one's obviously coming up over here. But the thing is that if in 20 years, let's just say Taylor had sex with a robot. Let's just throw that out there.
I'll say that.
Okay, he'll say that. Let's just say he does. And let's say 30 years from now, that robot didn't give consent. So in this context, is Taylor a rapist? Is he a horrible person? Is he a piece of garbage? No, because in context at the time, the robot wasn't even thought of as a sentient being. Therefore, it could not give consent. Do you understand this, people? Do you not get this over here? You cannot take something someone says in historical context and blame them in the future for it, because we don't know what's going to happen. The robot example is something that we kind of know might happen. But what's going to happen? Like, if I go out there and eat a plant, what if the plants we learn can talk? You know, what if I go out there and I spit on the grass? What if grass has feelings? You know, what if I allowed my dog to go crap on the grass? What if that in the future is determined that you violated the civil rights of that grass? As ridiculous as that sounds, it could happen. Stranger things have happened.
You weren't a tinfoil hat, but I was actually going to bring up the fact that like people like Dog the Bounty Hunter who had openly used the N-word in a negative way on a phone call that got out had to do an apology tour, an actual tour of numerous to get some credibility back because his show got canceled. So he was kind of forced to do apology.
That's not why his show got canceled. That's not why. We're going to do that another rant. This show sucks.
I'm gonna say though, if he didn't have a show and he was called out for being a racist, do you think he would still do his apology tour?
I'm sorry for saying your show sucks, dog. You thought the show sucked. It's the damn freaking Christian lesson at the end of the episode.
Is it after he beats him up,
after
and
you're
puts
like
him in the...
roughing these guys up and attacking them, and like talking about how tough you are, or whatever, and then you open the Bible in the car, and
you give him a cigarette.
I'm sorry, it's just like and you're wearing like this outfit like the '80s metal band like Slayer would be wearing or something like. Get out of here with that. Like, come on, okay? Sorry about saying your show sucks. Here's my apology tour. But it's just horrible. Don't ever do that. Like, either be a tough guy or be a Christian. Don't do both in the same episode, okay? But this is too much of a rant going on or whatever. But apology tours, apologizing when you're not wrong, stop doing it. You're feeding a bunch of idiots on there. And by the way, people on social media, they're not mad. They just are happy that they can stick their nose up at you for something, right? Like, they can be better than you at something. Since they're not better than you at life, at money, at everything else, whatever, they can be holier than you. Like people will do that all the time. Well, I'm a holier person than them. Like, religious people will do that, right?
Yeah.
This is the new form of religion. I am more social justice than them. No, you're not. You're probably doing all kinds of weird ass shit we can't see on that computer at late at night to that robot that we have no idea, to your pet or whatever, you freak. Don't lie. We know you're doing it. Everyone knows you're doing it. We can see what I did. If we could see your internet history, you too would be a horrible person, just like everyone else. So shut up and stop lying. You're full of it. And that's my rant. Taylor, nothing to say for yourself?
No,
You're robotic rapist.
No. I will get back to my robot now. Thank you.